So in this video I will show you how to recreate this short straight hairstyle. As you can see, my hair is very, very, very short. This is my natural hair, and I'm going to spray it with heat protectant, and that's always very important because you don't want to not use a heat protectant on your hair, because that will just, in the long run, fry your hair. And you just want to work that in to all of your hair. And you want to wait until it's dry to actually apply a heat tool to your hair, because if you apply heat to it while it's still wet, it'll actually burn off of your hair and sizzle and boil off of your hair, which will further damage your hair. Applying heat to it already is damaging it, so you don't want to apply more heat, because heat travels faster through liquids, and since the heat protectant is obviously a liquid, you don't want to kill your hair. And I don't know if you can see it, but I used Pantene medium to thick hairstyle heat protection and shine. I actually do not like using Pantene, not to bash their products or anything, but I generally tend to use products that are not tested on animals. And Tresemme, it's a black bottle. It's basically the same shape as this. It's not as round, it's more flat. I tend to use that one because I ran out today, so I had to find this one. The whole Tresemme line is not tested on animals. Now that I've been rambling on for a couple minutes, the heat protectant has dried, and what you're going to want to do is, with short hair, I say to all my friends, if you have short hair, you don't want to do the 4 sections. You only want to do 3 because it just takes less time. So you're going to do 1 section on one side, 1 section on the other side, and 1 section in the back. Alright, and I'm going to start on this side, and you just want to get layers probably a little bit less than an inch in thickness. And you're going to just take a small chunk of hair and run the flat iron over it. Now, if your flat iron does not straighten it completely on the first run off, wait until that piece of hair cools off, because while it's still hot, if you apply more heat to it, as I said before, you're going to apply more damage to it as well. So you don't want to do that. So now that this has cooled, the ends are still a little bit curved inward, so we are going to go over that again. Now it's pinned straight, the way I like it. And for the sake of time, I am only going to show you how to do this layer and the next layer on this side. And I will just cut to the next part of the video, so that you're not watching this video for 10 or 15 minutes. Now I move on to the next layer. I usually only do 3 layers on this side because most of my hair is over here. And you just want to clip it out of the way. Alright, and that got completely straight, so I don't want to do anything else to it. And some people just kind of run the straightener over it very fast, and you don't want to do that because it'll make your hair frizzy and it won't really do anything. And I mean, you don't want to hold the straightener on your hair for a really long time and then pull it down, because that'll just completely fry your hair. This little piece, I don't know if you can see it, but it flipped out a little bit, and I just want it all straight. So you're just going to take that little section of hair and kind of curve it inward, but you don't want to totally curve it inward because then you'll have curly hair, and you don't want that because you're straightening your hair. On the underside of your hair that's not the top layer, you don't have to go all the way to the roots because that will add volume in your hair. If it's a little bit curly or wavy, like for like a ½ inch at the roots, because it'll just add volume. On the top layer, you want to go all the way to the roots because you want all of the visible hair straight. Please forgive my roots. They look gray. They are definitely not. I just have blonde hair and I dyed my hair really dark. And just a tip for short hair, you want to use probably a 3/4 of an inch to maybe a 1 inch, maybe maximum 2 inch straightener, because anything above 2 inches is, I don't even think they make anything above 2 inches. They probably do. I don't know. If there's anything above 2 inches, you won't be able to get all of the hair and manipulate it the way you want it to go. So that, I mean, that's just my little tip for you. Whether you have or already have a really big straightener and you just cut your hair recently, or you just already own a very large straightener, it's going to be more difficult to straighten short hair. Now this side is done, and I'm just going to run a brush. I'm using a small round brush, but you can use any brush over it. Now it's completely straight. Now to this section. And some people might say to run a comb or a brush through your hair before you straighten that section. You don't need to do that with short hair because it's just usually not going to be that knotty. And if you're running short on time, you can grab big sections like that, but sometimes it doesn't get all of the hair completely straight. And sometimes if you just get lazy, like me, you can grab large sections. If you're in a hurry and you can't go, you know, slow and steady, straightening your hair and waiting until the piece has cooled to flat iron it, then just add a lot more heat protectant before you straighten it, because you can go fast and just keep going over it until it's straight, but I would just add a lot more heat protectant. And these sections don't have to be perfectly straight. Obviously you can see this one's kind of like wavy, but honestly no one's going to know. Personally, I don't like the undercurl effect, so I always flip my bangs out a tiny bit like that. And because I don't use hairspray because it makes me break out even more than I already am. And by like an hour after I straighten my hair, my bangs are like pin straight. So if they're flipped out a little bit, it's okay. But then again, everybody's hair is different. So don't just follow what I do for my hair. You have to find what works best for you. Now we're on to the last layer. Don't be alarmed if you see steam coming off of your straightener, because don't worry, it's not smoke, it's just steam. Don't worry. All it is any excess oils burning off of your hair. Don't be alarmed by the word burning either, because I mean, these can get up to like 500 degrees. For medium to thick hair, you're going to want to use one of the higher settings. Alright. And this side is done. Actually, no, it's not. Because I don't know if you can see it, but I have lots of flyaways and little hairs that are sticking up. And that's just from you running the straightener over them. Use hand lotion a tiny bit, like less than the size of a pea, and rub it into, I use my index finger and my middle finger, and I just rub it together and then kind of lightly massage it into around my roots area, and especially in the front, to get rid of those. Okay, well that's more than the size of a pea, but just rub it in, and yeah, this is actually a little bit too much, and just kind of lightly go over your hair wherever there's flyaways. And you're not going to always be able to get all of them. Then just go in and just kind of compress it. And I learned this tip from my friend Courtney, so shout out to Courtney. I think she learned it from her hairstylist, so what's her hairstylist's name? Inez, that's it. She learned it from Inez. So thank you, Inez. And see how there's like flyaways here too? I missed them. There's still a little bit left on my finger. You can just kind of rub that in, and they sometimes go away, sometimes they don't. Just gonna have to deal. And for the back section, which I'm not going to be able to show you, I might be able to. Actually, yeah, I can. Alright, so you're going to do the same thing. Divide your hair into layers. Small layers. And just clip it up. I'm only going to show you the first two layers because I can't do this backwards. And it's the same concept as these sides. And you just kind of feel if it's straight or not. Like, you just kind of get used to knowing whether it's straight or not. That's why you just kind of see me feeling around. Alright, now that I have shown you two layers, I'm going to jump to the finished product. Okay guys, so this is the finished look. You can't really tell that it's much different from this angle, but the back is a lot straighter. Yeah, that's basically it. Not much else to tell you other than to subscribe, please, and watch my other video, which is my first video actually, with my best friend Tiana. We taught you kind of how to straighten long hair, long curly hair, with lots of humor. She was hilarious and so much fun to work with. Thank you, and see you in my next video.